At this stage, the main thing is withdrawing inwards. And this is assisted by the body posture. Because as you become conscious of the body posture from within, you're actually withdrawing your senses a little bit. Even if your eyes are open, you don't look or focus strongly on anything. Your ears are open to what I'm saying. And of course, your touch sense does connect you with the seat, the floor, the air around you. But you just have to pull your attention inwards, for instance, into your heart space. And even the connection to your senses on your skin becomes much reduced. And you don't even have to be a great meditator to lose the sense that the boundary of your being is your skin at all. But then if it gets a little bit too amorphous, too soon anyway, you kind of lose sense where you are. So I always think it's good to have this sense of a straight line from the bottom of your spine up to the crown of your head. Just imagine such a line, completely straight. And as I've said many times before, if you were to continue that line downwards, it would go to the very center of the earth. And if you continue upwards, it will go through the roof, through the clouds, and emerge eventually even from the Earth's atmosphere. And even from the solar system, actually. So, such an imaginary line I find quite useful when you're setting up the posture. It gives you a sense of symmetry and balance on your left and right sides. And it literally centers you. And if you become aware of this centering process, especially your connection with the earth and gravity, you can actually release tension downwards, down this imaginary line, until it completely burns up at the center of the earth. And by stretching up the line into the sky and beyond the Earth's atmosphere, you connect with something very fine. And if we think about these two poles, the earth beneath us and space above us, we can think of the spectrum of the elements going from the hard solidity of the earth element, which is represented in the rock and the stones or bricks of the building and so forth, right up through the water element, represented by the oceans and rivers and droplets in the clouds, and the fire element, which is the warmth coming from the earth and held in the earth's atmosphere, and the wind element, which manifests as the breeze or all motion, such as the motion of the tides, the day and night, the seasons. And then the space element, which, beyond the Earth's atmosphere, the particles are very, very fine indeed. And our body is composed of all these elements, and it's seated here. And within it, or maybe not just within it, maybe also beyond it, is our consciousness. And with our consciousness, we connect with happenings all over the world. Right now, we connect with each other who are in different places. I mean, this is our consciousness, but it's using technology, which is a physical thing, in this similar way that our consciousness uses our brain and our nervous system, which are physical. These things are sort of instruments for consciousness, enabling us to connect and to understand and to experience. Hold your consciousness more or less within your body so that you don't lose touch with your body. And become aware of your body breathing. It's not just part of our body that breathes. So mindfulness of the breath is a method for aligning our awareness with our energy, of which breath is a particular example. But that energy or vitality pervades our whole being. So focus on the breath with awareness of this pervasive vitality. It's subtly connected with our whole nervous system, like an electrical field. Just give it space and just be the body breathing. And this instruction, be the body breathing, is shorthand for the alignment of consciousness and vitality through this example of the breath. And if we allow ourselves to go deeper and deeper into this meditation, we discover experientially what it means to be alive. And this discovery isn't necessarily self-centered. All other beings humans, other species, even trees and plants are alive. They have vitality. Whether or not they can become aware of it is another question. But we can. And if we do this with an attitude of participation, we can take the part of being the awareness of all life. Don't think about it, just feel it through the meditation. Even the word interconnectedness implies a degree of separation, whereas the word participation acknowledges that we are just part of all life. Okay, 1 minute break for stretching, sipping, moving, changing posture. Okay, so gradually now come back to prepare for the second meditation. And we're in a sequence on compassion. And the previous two sessions, we explored a little bit self-compassion. And today we're going to start venturing out a little bit towards exploring compassion for others. But we mustn't lose sight of self-compassion in that process because it's the foundation. So again, take up a meditation posture. And it really is important not to meditate from the brain, especially on this topic. And I usually say the heart center, but I know for some people that's not quite right. So you can bring it down lower. But if I say meditate from your heart space, that includes your diaphragm, the lower part of your torso. But when we say heart, we're usually talking about feeling. So for this meditation, be within your heart space in general, wherever's comfortable for you. And in the first session on self-compassion, we explored the difference between self-pity or feeling sorry for yourself and self-compassion. And this distinction is just as important when it comes to compassion for others. So let's just generate compassion for others, and then we'll sort of explore it, what its nature is, what it's like. Critique it maybe a little. So nowadays, compassion for others arises a lot because of the media and the global crisis. So without me pointing you to any particular example, just allow whatever examples are strong for you of the suffering in this world to bring about a feeling of compassion in your heart space. And just hold that feeling, situating yourself within it, not looking at it from outside. Just as similar phrase to before, be the compassion within your heart space. So when we think of the word pity, which is similar to feeling sorry for, there's an implication of superiority. Let's just explore that. just become aware from within your heart space of what it means to look down on others that we feel are less fortunate than ourselves and label this compassion. Probably we all know what this means from experience of having felt that. And now let's park that and explore a compassion between equals. There's a very nice phrase, we're all in this together. So it starts by acknowledging, I suffer. And just as I don't want to suffer, I don't want you to suffer. And if by chance you feel compassion to me, I accept that. Now there's one issue that we have to address in this investigation, and it's the issue of privilege. And we might have to revisit the first experience of feeling sorry for those less fortunate than ourselves and see how we can square that with equality. It's a fine line. but very important. So one notion that might help, which isn't as simple as it sounds, it's much more nuanced, but it's still helpful, is the idea that the poor have more physical suffering and the wealthy have more mental suffering. It's not altogether true, but it can be useful. And another notion that's quite helpful is that you can't actually measure whether one person's suffering is greater than another person's, because that's a subjective experience. So while you explore these questions, try to stay within your heart space and as much as possible feel your way. Don't make it too intellectual. Keep returning to that feeling of compassion for the suffering across the world. What we're exploring is our relation with it. And it's also quite well known that even to introduce the word privilege into some discussions induces a feeling of fragility, guilt, anger, and so forth. So if those emotions come up, just allow them without being absorbed in them. Just observe them. And we'll sort of finish this meditation by entering into a sense of equality. All beings, not just humans, are equal in not wanting suffering and wanting to be free from it. Just like me. And as you go deeper into this experience, you discover that self-compassion and compassion for others are not at all separate. And without further thinking, just allow your mind to absorb with this experience of universal compassion.